Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Ashe updated complete guide, of course, for our latest patch, and we're going back to the daily uploads. But before we get into any of it, don't forget to of course check out Ashe's basic guide I put up in the cards above for her skills, leveling order, tips and tricks, as well as a couple combos. But with that out of the way, now let's get into Ashe's build. Right, so taking a look at the top players, most people are going for some variant of this build, which is basically Bloodthirster first, Runan's quite early, and of course you have IE and Mole Reminder thrown somewhere in the mix of the build, and then you have some variation like you have Phantom Dancer, you have Soul Transfer, you have Maw, a lot of variations of the build. So Ashe build is not really very fixed, but I'm gonna go over what I think is the best way to go. So first up, we're going to start with the Gluttonous Greaves, of course, for the early AD and the early Omnivamp, and then of course you're going to go into Bloodthirster. This one's a no-brainer. It's a Bloodthirster meta right now, gives you a ton of AD, gives you that lifeline passive, and extra defenses, things like that as well. And then I'm actually going to go into Runan's second. Now Runan's is very useful on Ashe because obviously, you can attack 3 targets at the same time. This also allows you to apply your slow onto 3 targets at the same time, and this will of course then, allow you to provide extra utility as well as deal additional damage. And then your next 2 items are generally going to be IE and Mole Reminder, of course for the bonus crit damage as well as the Armor Pen and Grievous Wounds, but the order is very easy to swap around, right? So basically, of course, with IE, you get a ton of AD, you get like 60 AD, right? But more reminder, you only get 25, which is like less than half, but you do get Grievous Wounds, and you do also get Armor Pen. So depending on how tanky the enemy team is and how much healing they have, sometimes you do want to go for Mole Reminder before IE, and a lot of the top players actually just by default go Mole Reminder before IE, although I personally don't really like that. And then the last item, since we have one more extra item slot, we're gonna go for Soul Transfer here. Now, Soul Transfer sometimes can be built in builds early, like 3rd or 4th item, but in this case, I think everything else is just better, and this is just a nice way to round off the build and bring you to 100% crit. So for the runes, it's pretty much the standard ADC loadout. The lethal tempo for the additional range and attack speed, and then brutal for the auto attacks, giant slayer to counter the tanks, alacrity for attack speed, and bone plating for the safety. For these spells, you want to go for flash together with cleanse if you need cleanse, not clarity but cleanse, and if not, ghost is amazing on Ashe. If there's not a lot of CC in the game, ghost is amazing to go for, and then of course you have bear and exhaust as options as well. But with all that out of the way, now let's move on to taking a look at the gameplay. Okay, so let's move on to the gameplay, but of course before we get too much into it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Of course, I will be sure to address them. So, we're rocking the new high... No, it's not new, but it's new to me, right? I just obtained this new High Noon Ashe skin because from the Marksman event, from those free chests that you get. And, I'm playing it for the first time in this match, right? So, of course, we're not here to talk about the skins. We're here to talk about Ashe and if she's good, if she's bad, and her rework, right? So, first thing I kind of want to discuss is Ashe's rework, right? Of course, her Q basically got reworked, where basically, after you charge it up for 4 seconds, you can just pop it like what I'm doing here, and then you're going to get the enhanced auto attacks, not for the next like 6 attacks, but just for the next couple of seconds, and then you can charge it up again, and then you pop it again, and then you get the enhanced attacks again. So what this basically gives you is more uptime on your Q. So I think strictly speaking that is a buff to Ashe. Right, so Ashe basically got a mini rework which is essentially positive, it's a buff. So she just basically got a bit better. Now what else changed is of course the build. Right, so Ashe used to build on hit as her best build, but now of course Bloodthirster is OP, so Bloodthirster becomes her default first item, which then mostly leads you into building crit, of course aside from the Rune and Hurricane, because crit is very strong in the meta right now. Now, on hit isn't exactly worse because Wit's End is not really an item that Ashe really wanted to build anyway. So here you'll see something very fun here. So Morgana pops the Squirtus Bloom, sees the ward, and decides that she wants to just walk straight there and attack the ward, right? And then she basically nearly dies for it, has to heal and flash away. And then I'm trading onto Lucian. Lucian barriers and Braum heals and Lucian flashes away. Now I'm very low, I can't let Lucian proc Braum passive on me, otherwise I'm dead, which forces me to flash away, and all this started because of that ward, right? I think the Aurora mission where you need to destroy like 50 wards is making people do a lot of stupid things, both my teammates and my opponents. Like, you cannot be just going for that ward when Lucian Braum is just standing there. That is suicide. I cannot believe that she didn't die instantly. Did have to pop both summon spells, started the fight, and then everybody started popping summon spells left and right, and somehow, some way, we ended up on top of it with Morgana picking up the kill, despite her being the one to make the initial mistake. Yeah, so that's just wild. But anyway, back to the discussion on the build. So basically, Bloodthirster is default first item, right? So on hit hasn't actually gotten any worse. So you can actually build, I think her second best build after crit is probably gonna be Bloodthirster into Runans and then into other on hit items like you know, Bork, for example, if you're against an extremely tanky team, something like that. And probably the worst build is pure on hit, right? By pure on hit I mean like the Terminus build, right? Just going for pure Terminus first item and then into Runan's build is probably not the way anymore. So here Morgana lands a mining. I'm just tickling the Braum basically. Braum is really tanky, but one benefit of playing Ashe into Lucian Braum is that Ashe outranges Lucian by a ton, and of course Braum is melee. So with Morgana Ashe, we should be able to poke them down to an extent they should never be able to really all in, right? Because Lucian is going to get poked by me, Braum is going to get poked by me like so, and in fact Morgana gets pokes them as well, and then they should always be low enough such that they cannot just jump on us and then go all in. Now here's another benefit of Ashe using the Hawk Shot to spot wards and destroy them, which I guess for this case not only completes the Aurora mission, but of course denies the enemy team vision, denies them that bush control, which is really the more important part. But yeah, people are just doing weird stuff just because of the Aurora missions. I think everybody wants that free Jinx skin, and people are just doing very weird stuff. They're doing weird stuff to try to get first blood. They're doing weird stuff to try to get wards. So yeah, I haven't seen an event influence player behavior so much. I guess because the reward is just too good, right? You get a free prestige skin in the form of Star Guardian Jinx or the exquisite tier or whatnot, but you guys get what I'm saying. So anyways, now back to the lane. We didn't actually lose a single minion. Lucian and Braum are able to push in. We're gonna get all the minions. Now at this point, all summon spells are back up. Another ward here. Unfortunately, that ward was already about to expire as Braum goes for a roam to mid. Now seeing that Lucian and Braum are both not here, I'm just going to just shove in the wave and hope that they go for a fight there. So Morgana there is kind of cutting off their entry into the lane. I'm trying to see if I can get a plate before they arrive, which I am able to do. Now just getting a little bit of free tower damage right as they come, and then we can just walk away. Now clearing the wave once again. I'm not sure why Morgana is aiming for Braum. She's hit Braum with the root like 3 times, but she wasn't even aiming for Lucian and Braum blocked it. She was just aiming for Braum, which is really strange. Like, wouldn't you normally want to target the enemy ADC instead of the enemy support? Definitely some strange behavior by my support there as another ward comes in. And once again, we can just remove it. Of course, highest value to remove the ward is when it's just placed. So we just get rid of that ward instantly. And here, once again, she roots the Braum for the 4th time. Braum now ults me. Lucian is ulting me as well. I tried to ult to cancel Lucian's ult, but unfortunately it doesn't quite work. Everybody gets stunned at the same time, aside from Morgana. Eventually, I trade with the Lucian 1-for-1. And that was not too bad, all things considered, because I didn't manage to hit my ult onto Lucian because Braum was blocking. So Lucian culling was able to complete onto me, but at the same time, the Morgana not Chains of Corruption is Varus ult. The Morgana ulti was tethered onto Lucian, so Lucian tried to flash out, wasn't able to do so, and as a result not only gets stunned but also doesn't offload the rest of his ult onto us, and then that allowed me enough time to pick up the kill on him before I end up going down myself in a 1-for-1 trade. Now here though, I have my Bloodthirster completed and he has Essence Reaver, so of course as we know Bloodthirster is just an OP item, right, with that shield. So if we ever get into that kind of situation again, I will be able to kill him without him being able to kill me. So speaking of kill, Olaf is stuck doing the dragon, and he is not going to be getting out. Of course, he sacrifices his life for the dragon. Now Braum and Lucian decide to come over and contest the dragon. We are able to kill both of them, and also steal the enemy buff, once again destroying another enemy ward, placing down one of my own, and now I'm just going to be pushing in, right? So the enemy team is, number one, they're dead, right? But number two, they're also going to be distracted defending mid lane because there's going to be a herald push going down mid lane. 4 of my teammates are there, so I'm going to take this opportunity to quickly demolish this bottom lane tower before the Braum and Lucia can stop me, which of course gets me the goal for destroying the tower, and it's a nice goal injection for myself and my team. And with that, I'm able to now recall and pick up my components for Runan's Hurricane. At this juncture of the game, most of my team is doing well, right? You can see myself, Zyra, as well as Camille all have very similar amounts of gold, and we all have a number of kills and assists. Morgana as well has a pretty big lead against Braum. Aatrox only one without a lead, but it's fine, you know, it's a very smooth game already with most people, you know, getting ahead of their lane opponents. So we just go on a little bit of a rotation to mid, because bot lane tower is already gone. I mean, mid lane tower is gone as well. All the tier 1 towers are gone, so there's not a whole lot for us to do. Now here we're going to go back bot to catch the wave, but unfortunately Camille just goes there and catches the wave, which is really annoying, to say the least. And thankfully though, the next wave is here, so we're going to be able to get the next wave as well. And then the threat breaks out in mid. I'm going to launch the arrow, and it connects onto the Heimerdinger for the... Well, I don't really want to say KS, right? Because I did commit my ult across the map to try to stun someone. It just happened that the person I tried to stun was 1 HP, right? So we do end up getting the kill there. We flash forward to go for the Olaf, trying to now go for the Rumble. We get the kill there, and Bloodthirster helps us survive. What a broken item. Like, even I'm disgusted by how strong Bloodthirster is, giving you so much stats, so much, you know, physical vamp, attack damage, that shield, defenses as well. And yeah, so with that, we recall, pick up the Runans, regenerate all of our health, and then here, in this particular match, we actually go for Mole Reminder before IE, and the reason we go for that is because Olaf and Braum are a really solid front line, and we want to have that Mole Reminder to shred through the front line. Speaking of Olaf, he's running down the Zyra. Morgana is trying to help, but she can't CC him because he's unstoppable from his ulti. We eventually get him, and then we ult the Heimerdinger, and somehow I get the kill, I think, from the red buff, because I wasn't even in auto attack range. And yeah, my team is now just starting to steamroll over their team at this point. Our lead is only growing, and we are winning the fights pretty much non-stop, denying them their jungle camps, you know, everything like that, right? So Camille once again goes for the wave, and because she's going for the wave, I'm going to go for the enemy jungle camps, which is also going to net me goal and deny the enemy team their camps at the same time. And here we have Braum trying to go in. He barely survives only because of his Protector's Vow proccing. Otherwise, he actually would have died there. We pick up the tower here. And next dragon is spawning. Aatrox and Zyra getting into a fight in the top lane. They get it easily. And Baron is also spawning at the same time. So now with Olaf dead, I'm thinking it's possibly a Baron angle. But we're already at dragon, so we're doing dragon. I'm actually pinging to attack the Baron because I think we can easily make our way across the map and then just go on to the Baron next. Now the enemy team seem to be aware of this, so while I rotate, I'm pushing in the mid lane to get priority. Very important to do before objectives, and they know what's up, right? So here, I'm just trying to go over behind the pit to try to dissuade them from contesting. Now the issue here is Camille and Aatrox are both pretty low, and we need to really just secure this, which we do. And the fight is a little bit iffy because we have a couple of low HP targets, so maybe it's not the best idea. And here I'm just getting chunked up by Heimerdinger. I lose half my health to his turrets, and I lose my shield ball, so I have to flash away. That was pretty ugly by me. Here though, I'm gonna hit a very nice arrow onto Lucian, allowing Aatrox to get the kill, Aatrox somehow is now on full health on a triple kill. Of course, Aatrox just a broken champion, right? Like, he procs his passive, his Sundered Sky, his Gore Drinker, which my Aatrox doesn't even have, and he just heals up to full. However, he is stuck inside the enemy base, and they're not gonna let him get out, so he's definitely dead to rights. He gets shut down over to Heimerdinger.
Enemy turret destroyed.
And a fight is once again breaking out over there. I'm kiting the camp over and rotating toward the fight. Now with Ashe slow, it's kind of toxic, because you can see here that we're just slowing them down. They can't really escape. We end up getting one kill, going for a second, we get the second kill, or rather Morgana does, but all the same, my team gets the second kill. And yeah, so Ashe is really good at chasing people down, aside from running away from people and kiting them out. So yeah, definitely does have her strengths. Now we clear the next wave, take all 3 inhibitors, and at this point we can attempt to force the end of the game. Heimerdinger Towers there, we gotta destroy that first. And the Nexus Shield is pretty huge because it's still 13 minutes into the game, right? So the Nexus Shield is still pretty huge, has not yet dissipated. Here I'm lifestealing off of the minions as well as clearing the waves at the same time. All the enemy ults come in. I make sure to step on the Braum ult and not the Rumble ult, because Braum ult doesn't actually do damage. We get the kill onto Heimerdinger. 3 enemies are dead. Only Rumble and Olaf are left alive. So now we can start pelting the Nexus. Olaf gets caught. Olaf is no longer alive. Only Rumble now left alive. Once again, lifestealing off of the minions. And now just focusing the Nexus. And nothing Rumble can do to stop us. We're able to end the game. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.